The Thing has become an instant smash hit in Marvel Rivals, and it's easy to see why. With short cooldowns on a brawling playstyle and easy frontline capabilities, he is so much fun and a very simple character to pick up, but a tricky one to master. Many other YouTubers put out their ultimate guide on day one, but I actually spent all weekend learning the Thing so I could teach you 10 actually useful tips for learning the Thing in Marvel Rivals. Let's start with some specific concrete tips and then get into the more meta-style gameplay tips later, starting with tip number 1. For the first time in any of my videos, there are 2 settings you need to change to absolutely maximize the Thing, and let's talk about the first one now, which is you need to turn on hold to sprint for the Thing. Thing's dash is a great ability because it has several hitboxes, but it's mostly used for that slam at the end to launch enemies up in the air. However, if you go to your settings, make sure you have selected the Thing as your specific hero, and underneath the keyboard and combat section, go down to hold to dash. You can then use his dash instantly to create a big crater around you and not have to move anywhere. This gives the Thing an instant AoE ability that launches enemies into the air with a very short activation period. Trust me, you need to do this. Tip number 2, and the only other setting we'll get into before we get to the gameplay tips, make sure you have allied health bars turned on so you can accurately help your teammates when they need damage reduction. To do this, simply go back to that same settings tab, the keyboard, combat, and you can do all heroes or just the Thing. Scroll down to allied health bars and click those on. That way you can see your teammates' health bars and know who to jump to when you need to give them some damage reduction, potentially saving their life. If you're finding these tips to be actually useful or just enjoy the content, please do consider subscribing. It's free for you and it helps me out tremendously and lets me know that you like this type of content. So without further ado, let's get into the gameplay tips with tip number 3. Tip number 3, you need to understand that the Thing is a frontline brawler, not a backline diver. Understandably, people sometimes think that the Thing, because he's a lot like the Hulk, will be played the same as the Hulk, but this could not be further from the truth. While the Hulk likes jumping into the back of an enemy team, using his shield and fighting some of the squishies, the Thing is much better at staying in the front line and using his piercing haymaker to deal damage to the front lines and close by enemies, while then turning around and jumping to his teammates to give them and himself damage reduction. The Hulk can jump for free, but the Thing has to lock onto a teammate, so you can't be too far deep into enemy lines. While you can go back there for a couple quick kills, maybe it can't be your normal style of gameplay, so make sure you're close enough to your team to give yourself an escape. Tip number 4, use that haymaker secondary fire attack early and often because it might be your best ability. It pierces through enemies, shields, it gives you a little bit of forward momentum, and the hitbox is disjointed so you don't have to actually make contact with the enemy to deal some damage. This is a very useful ability on 0 cooldown. It may not last like this forever, so while you have the opportunity, use that haymaker regularly. It doesn't have to be every punch, but it should be a lot of your punches. Tip number 5 ties right into that. Weave in your regular primary fires after your haymaker attack for the quickest burst damage you can get. If you land that haymaker on a squishier target and you see they're already half HP or lower, quickly make sure you get that primary fire melee in because that will land much quicker than your next haymaker and you'll likely secure the kill instead of waiting for your second haymaker to launch, which has a little bit of wind-up time. If you want to maximize the burst damage you can get with the Thing, this is tip number 6. Use all of this in combination with your dash to go dash, haymaker, melee for the quickest amount of burst damage you can get on the Thing. The ending hitbox of the dash will launch your enemies up into the air where they will not be able to escape your haymaker. Follow that up with melees and you will have a maximum amount of burst damage on the Thing, and this is the best way for him to actually secure kills all on his own. Tip number 7, it is such a blessing that this is part of the Thing's kit. The Thing cannot be moved by opponents, so use that to your advantage in the front line by eating some of these enemy abilities such as Bucky hooks, Wolverine grabs, Invisible Woman pulls. He cannot be affected by this whatsoever. I can't tell you how many times I've been playing Groot and I get yanked around a corner and can't save myself because of Bucky or Spider-Man. Or how many times I've been Magneto and simply shoved off the map by an Invisible Woman hiding on the Super Soldier Factory. The Thing cannot be influenced by these types of moves, so he is a great character to play and have no fear whatsoever if your opponents are trying to use lots of characters like Bucky, Invisible Woman, Spider-Man, Wolverine, that move you against your will. He is their counter, and remember that. If you see a team that's got a lot of displacement abilities, the Thing will absolutely be your friend and will completely stifle that strategy of your opponents. Let's talk about that jump ability that the thing has. Tip number 8, use your jump on offense to help your divers if you see them close to securing a kill. Yes, I did caution you earlier to not be a diver yourself, but remember that while there is a short cooldown, you do have 2 charges of that leap ability where you can leap onto a teammate and give yourself and your teammate some damage resistance. Typically, this ability is used to save yourself from a bad situation, but if you see an opportunity to make a game-changing play and jump into the backline to help your friend secure a few kills, it could be the difference between winning and losing. So don't be afraid to use one of your leaps to jump into the backline. It's a big risk, but it can lead to big rewards. Tip number 9, regarding the ultimate. His ultimate is very short range, so be up close on the front line anytime you want to use his ult. I'm gonna hit you with the cold water right now. His ultimate is just not very good. Couple that with the fact that it doesn't have very much range, and it can feel a little bit underwhelming to use. It is not going to be as effective as the Eye of Agamotto, where you are definitely going to get several kills if you hit people with it. It's just not that kind of ultimate. This is a great ult to use in tandem with a damage ult because it doesn't deal a lot of damage, and frankly, neither does the thing himself, and it does get a good amount of people right in front. So your job as the thing needs to be more similar to Groot. You need to try and stun people by getting in the middle of a crowd, right in front of everyone, throw that ult down, try and stun the tank and maybe a couple others right behind, and then let your teammates do the rest. Tip number 10, this certainly won't shock you. Don't stray too far away from your healers, as you really have no way to fend for yourself outside of your jump. You're not Hulk, you don't have the ability to put a bubble shield on. You're not Doctor Strange or Magneto, where you're able to quickly put a shield up in front of you. And you're not Venom or Captain America, where you can jump, grapple, run away. You can sprint, but let's be honest, you're a big bowling ball with a very slow sprint that takes a long time to turn around. You're susceptible to taking a lot of damage if you get in too far, and you need to be aware of that when you start fights. You do have a very high health pool, but you gotta make sure you don't get yourself into a situation where you'll easily be the focus of the enemy team without healing for backup, as you'll get very discouraged very quickly and think that the thing is a piece of junk and you might as well move on to someone like Doctor Strange with a shield. Like the real Fantastic Four, you work better in a team, so make sure you stay with your team in this regard. This is a fantastic opportunity to throw a couple more lightning quick tips at you, such as use the thing in coordination with other tanks. He's not a great solo tank. I highly recommend trying to get a Sue Storm on your team because the Fantastic Four team up where you get 200 extra health and regen health is amazing. Spam that haymaker literally anytime you see a tank shield. I promise you're going to get some surprising kills. And don't be afraid to leap onto your aerial teammates to do a little surprise thing, dive bomb. It's a lot of fun. And please let me know what you guys think about this video in the comments. I would love to get your feedback. Of course, I'll be responding to any tips you may want to share as well. Thank you all so much for watching. Again, please do subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Thank you all. I will see you in the next one, and enjoy the rest of your day.